International Monetary Fund said the macroeconomic performance of Cote d'Ivoire was better than expected in the first half of 2013, with continued strong GDP growth and moderate inflation despite higher food prices. Budget execution was also considered satisfactory, revenues exceeding the IMF's Article 4 consultation, and the fourth review of the external credit facility supported programs targeted and expenditures lower than projected. Economic prospects for the whole of 2013 and 2014 are also positive, with growth expected to exceed 8.5%. And joining me now to break down the Ivorian economy is Alain Saraka, Assistant Vice President, Credit Risk Management from the Africa Finance Corporation. He joins me in the studio. And then we also have on the line Rydell Marcus, Africa Strategist at APSA Capital. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. And let me start with you. Like I did mention, the IMF very complimentary of the management of the Ivorian economy right now. It's projected to grow by 8.5% this year. That's, of course, much higher than the projections for the likes of Nigeria. So your thoughts about what they're doing right in Cote d'Ivoire right now that gives them such a high rating from the IMF?
Good afternoon, Ole. I really think that it's not visible for the population. Like you say, the price of goods are a little bit high, even though the inflation in Cote d'Ivoire is acceptable. I think the government, like the president told to the population recently, is working on the long run. They are taking measures to improve the economic situation of Cote d'Ivoire, but it's on over the long term that they expect to see the actual result of the policy. And I think what is happening. The Ivorian people are starting to work more efficiently, and reducing the expenses that are not worth actually, and trying to make the country going on the right way. And this is what the government, I think, is working on. And so we will see the positive result on maybe middle to
Clearly very positive at this time, and like I mentioned, 8.5% is the forecast. And let me get your perspective on this, Rydell. Rydell, what do you think they are doing right in Cote d'Ivoire? It's clearly a very bright spot in West Africa right now.
Was obviously had some political challenges, and I think since President Ouattara has come, he's brought a lot of support from international corporations and the community, and they have been very supportive to him. He's obviously been very pro-business, and he's been welcoming multinational corporations into the country, and that has obviously helped. So there's been a great focus on the rebuilding of infrastructure, etc., not just within Abidjan, but also in other parts of the countries. And I think that is sort of raised the confidence in the economy, and obviously economic activity has been quite buoyant in recent years. And this year the IMF obviously said over 8.5%. Last year they reached 9.8%. So the economy has got strong momentum.
Right, but at what stage do you anticipate that this will translate into prosperity for the people, and poverty remains high like it is in many countries in West Africa? Do you get the sense that that prosperity is coming, which will of course ginger the growth of a middle class that would make the market even more attractive to investors?
Well, indeed. I mean, it is obviously going to take some time for the economic growth to filter through. But already, I mean, with all the construction activity, bridges being built, etc., there's job opportunities being created for the Ivorians, and I believe that if this momentum continues, that more opportunities will be created, more companies will come in. As long as the political situation remains stable and can be improved even further, it draw even more companies to come in. There's opportunity within the agriculture, the cocoa sector, for example, rubber, and other palm, etc. So there's a lot of opportunities that's still to be exploited within the country, and I think again, with continued stability in the country, more jobs will be created, and I'm really positive about the long-term sort of outlook for the country.
Right, and then you mentioned infrastructure as an area that we're seeing a lot of focus. I want to get your thoughts about the kind of projects that we're seeing in Cote d'Ivoire that could be attracting investments. I know the AFC, of course, invests in infrastructure. So, what can you tell us about the attractiveness of Cote d'Ivoire in that respect?
Oh, yeah, I think the roads. Cote d'Ivoire is have access to the sea, so a lot of landlocked countries around are using Cote d'Ivoire as an entry for the goods. So improving the roads from Cote d'Ivoire to Burkina, from Cote d'Ivoire to Mali in the north, improving the power supply. In the past, before the crisis, Cote d'Ivoire was one of the suppliers of many countries around. So improving the power, and if you want to develop industrial sector in the country, you need to have a solid power sector.
Right.
So improving the power sector, improving the roads, improving the airport. The airport of Abidjan is correct, but we need a larger airport.
Right.
The more you will have investors coming, the more you will need a good airport.
Right.
So
right. Do you get the sense that the will is there to invest in this big game-changing projects? You just mentioned the airport, for instance, needs an upgrade. Do you get the sense that is the type of leadership we have in Cote d'Ivoire, the one driving this aggressive growth and putting the infrastructure that will get this economy going to the next level?
Indeed, as I've said, President Ouattara is very pro-business, and I've been going to Ivory Coast at least twice a year over the past couple of years, and the new airport, for example, stands out as a really great sort of building, and a sort of reflects the new focus of the government in terms of rebuilding the country. There's also other issues, of course, that raises the prospects for the country. I mean, we haven't even touched on the oil issue. Ivory Coast is only producing just above 30,000 barrels per day at the moment, but a lot of production sharing licenses have been issued, a lot of exploration licenses have been issued earlier this year, and that the Ivorian government is confident that they can actually push up the oil production to close to 200,000 barrels over the next couple of years. And if they do manage to do that, that will really earn them a lot of foreign exchange, and the ability to speed up infrastructure will be improved to enhance so much more. So it's a very resource-rich country, and of course they just need to exploit those resources. And I think politically there is definitely a willingness to continue with what we've seen over the past 2 years.
And then let's bring this to the markets. Your thoughts about what this expansion could mean for companies listed on the BRVM right now. And of course, the BRVM, it's a regional exchange, but of course, Cote d'Ivoire being perhaps the most significant economy amongst the countries that are participating in that. So your thoughts about what this could mean for the bourse. The bourse seems to have struggled a little bit recently. Your thoughts about the stocks that may benefit from this change?
Actually, since yesterday, we have up by 1.5%, So it might be one of the positive result of this this positive trend that are around Ivory Coast and the region. The fact that other countries like Mali are getting better too is a good thing for the stock exchange. I really think that the sector which will benefit the most is probably the financial sector. Because with all those projects, there are a lot of projects to fund, and maybe the rates, the interest rate will be a little bit lower for the banks, because they will have competition from foreign banks. But I think the banking sector will benefit a lot from.
Banks is where we should be looking at in Cote d'Ivoire. Thank you very much for joining us.